Now, it's public knowledge that matric students will soon be celebrating completion of 12 years of schooling. Today, we've decided to talk about South Africa's state of education and the challenges there. We focus primarily on the plight of matriculants. To help us unpack this issue, Jackie Carroll joins us on the line. Jackie, good morning to you.
Morning for you.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Jackie is with MediaWorks. Also joining us this morning, Deputy Director General, Vocational and Continuing Education and Training at the Department of Higher Education, Dr. Mabureng Maharaswa. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Vuyo, and good morning to the listeners.
No, welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning as well. Jackie, let's just begin. If you've completed your grade 12 this year, what can you look forward to as a young South African?
Sure. It all depends on your symbols, I would imagine. For some people, there is hope and opportunity, but for the majority, there isn't.
So, for the majority, there isn't hope. Why is that? Is that a reflection of the state of education?
I truly believe so. I believe there's a huge disconnect between higher education and basic education. Our children go to school, they do what they think they're supposed to be doing, and when they come out and they've qualified with what they think is something that's going to entitle them to further education or open the doors for a job, we're always telling our children, study hard if you're a good job. And quite frankly, it's not true. They come out and they have very limited opportunities. They're all striving for the same thing, which is not necessarily the right thing for them, to try and get into university, for example, where they don't see the opportunities in FETs. And those that don't want to study further would generally like to get a job. They're just not employable. So, yeah, it doesn't look so good for them.
No, Dr. Mabureng, disconnect. Do you agree with Jackie that kids are studying, but, it sounds very much like it's a purposeless exercise?
No, I would not agree with that. And maybe before I even comment on her comment, start first of all by appreciating the article that MediaWorks, released earlier, because it actually talks, a different language from what the colleague is now talking. What I appreciated in that article is the opportunities that they have, particularly in the FET sector. And so I would like to hop on that one. There are a lot of opportunities. The only challenge is that the mindset has been that everyone that completes matric should go to university. And we are saying as a department that there are alternatives to a university. We and the listeners, you will know that the country is in short supply in terms of the artisans, and those are not generated at universities.
Yes.
They are generated at the FT colleges. We also have our sector education and training, the SETAs as they are commonly known, who also offer training in terms of leadership, internships, and we also then also have the artisans, and the trades, that are generated through the other subsystems within the post-school sector. So I would actually encourage young people to consider those options because and make it possible for them to do so. If you allow me, I can just basically then indicate, to you that we feel that, contrary to what the colleague is saying, that there has been an increase in confidence from the public, on our post-schooling sector. And I will indicate to you in terms of the enrollment, from 2009, that have increased from 32,000 in 2009 to the current 657. That we have. That is a show of confidence. And remember, we are the listeners that we're targeting as the department to increase, the numbers to 1 million by 2014.
Okay, let me just bring Jackie back in. And just, Jackie, your pessimism stems from what?
Okay, sorry. I must correct it. I don't mean it to come across as pessimism, but I do agree with the doctor, yes. There is definitely more emphasis being put on learning and development, which is what we need, because currently we are oversubscribed at universities and we don't have enough in our FETs. And yes, the government definitely, higher education is definitely placing a lot more money where the FETs are, which will help to raise their stature. Currently, the FETs are still regarded, even if the enrollment rate is slightly higher, they're still regarded as a second choice option.
Why is that?
because, in my humble opinion, that they are, first of all, maths is critical at an FET level if you're going to be an artisan, an engineer, something like that. Our children don't have the maths marks to qualify. So if they do get in, the dropout rate in first year is exceptionally high, primarily because of the fundamentals. By fundamentals, I'm talking about communication skills and mathematical literacy. So in that regard, we are setting them up for failure. We know that they don't have the required math in order to cope, and we've seen that again in the benchmark assessments. Yeah. But again, I must come across very clearly that I'm not saying that higher education is not doing their bit. My concern is that there's a disconnect between higher education and basic, and that is the higher education is fully aware of what we need in this country, and they are really working hard towards it. And please, this is again Jackie's opinion. When I see how the government spend for FETs has been increased, where I see how higher education is working with adult basic education and training and trying to make a connection there, my concern is that basic education is not stretching to the bar.
Yeah. You know what? Let's just go back to the essence of the conversation here. And it was to say, so if you're a parent of a young person, you're listening to this conversation now, perhaps you've been having talks with your son or your daughter right through the year, and you've been saying, okay, so where to once you pass, or even through the past 2-3 years high schooling education, where to for a young person now? Once they get their results, perhaps it's even a little bit too late to be applying for university. Dr. Maburing, it's a bit too late now.
Yes, it is a little bit too late, but I think most of the matriculants will have applied by now, because you're aware, Vuyo and the listeners, that the department launched a serious campaign which is called Apply Now campaign that has been running throughout the year.
Right.
So through that campaign, we were able to reach a lot of matriculants to try and sensitize them to closing days for different programs within the university sector. So we are confident that most of them will have applied in time. The challenge might come, with those that haven't got admission into the university.
Where to then?
FET is the answer.
Okay.
As I said. Maybe I should also indicate that FET colleges accommodate not only matriculants, but actually even those that have grade 9. Passed, and also those ones that have NQF level 1 qualification, can go to FET colleges. And this is a sector that is ready to accept them. If you allow me to also, indicate to you, Vuyo, that the advantage also is that there are huge injections in terms of bursaries to FET colleges, which are available to deserving and poor students. So that is also a plus, something that will open up access for them into the FET.
So essentially the future is not at all bleak? Jackie?
Right. This is right.
It all depends on which side of the paradigm, which side you sit. If you have a good matric, you have...
Good matric would mean what? You've got good matric, mathematics?
You've got mathematics, definitely. You have got solid C's, because honestly, 30% does not mean you're competent to do anything. You have opportunities. But the reality is a lot of our kids don't get that. And that's what the problem is. Then they get to a higher education, and the pass mark, for example, is 50%.
Okay. All right. Just, Dr. Maburing, is that your sense as well? Lower education is not coming to the party, not producing young people with the requisite quality to get into university or FET colleges or even get a job?
We have seen an improvement actually in the general education and training results. You will know that increasingly over the years, not only the overall pass have increased, but also we have had more students qualifying for degrees and diplomas into universities. So I think we should appreciate that upward trend. It is so that not everyone, will make it, but there have been improvements in the sector.
All right.
And this is also based on the government's intention to actually create a seamless, education system, from up to higher.
Okay. All right. Let's invite you to join in the conversation. The number is 0891 104 207 here on SAFM. You're also welcome to reach us on Twitter at Mbuli Vuyo. Talk to us. If you're a young person, what are your hopes and intentions for the year 2013? Have you been admitted to university or FET college? Have you found a job? What prospects do you think you have right now? Talk to us. 0891 104 207. We're going to take a break. This is SAFM on 104 to 107.
It's summer and Specsavers is giving away free single vision prescription sunglasses. To get your free pair, simply purchase an eye test and prescription spectacles from our color-coded frame range and we'll give you a free pair of single vision prescription sunglasses in a matching color-coded frame up to the value of 1,800 Rand. Plus, upgrade your free sunglass lenses to Polar Eyes, which reduces blinding glare for only an extra 299 Rand. T's and C's apply. Specsavers, for affordable eye care.
Morning Talk on SAFM.
0891 104 207. What now if you're a matriculant completing your high school education this year, job prospects, university admission, FET college admission? Give us a call, 0891 104 207. Dr. Maboreng Maharaswa is our guest. She is Deputy Director General in the Department of Higher Education. Jackie Carroll is CEO of MediaWorks. Now, Maboreng, I heard what you were saying, but just to ask your relationship with lower education, basic education as it were. Do you meet and engage and perhaps look at what is not going right about admissions and stuff like that and the quality that's coming out of high school and the other levels of basic education?
There are forums, where we meet. And the focus now, I must say, Vuyo, and maybe that's where, the college is coming from. The disjuncture that she's talking about is what we call articulation between the different levels. That is our current challenge, and we must admit this one. But we are working to make sure that there's articulation at all levels, from the schooling sector to the FET sector, and to the university sector, where we know that the courses that our students learn at FET colleges, as an example, carry credits that are portable, into university and so on. So that is now the key focus of the department, to make sure that there is that seamless education system. We are in conversations with various universities who are going to assist us to develop curricula and to match curricula between the different sectors to make sure that this happens.
All right.
Now, in terms of the product of the schooling, the minister has announced last month that we are now going from 2014 to introduce the foundation programs targeting specifically math and science. So in terms of the preparation that the college is talking about, we will be able now to put them through a bridging program that prepares them for studies in further and higher education.
Okay, let's take your calls quickly. Anne in McGregor in the Western Cape. Good morning to you.
Good morning. I'm very grateful for you taking my call. I've been listening quite a lot this morning, and I'm living in McGregor. I'm a widow, and I'm looking after myself. But I'm actually wanting to encourage the young people who they might be listening to Dr. Maboreng, and I think she's got a good point, and it's a very good news what she's saying. But I listen to Nancy Rizzo after lunch sometimes,
okay.
And she is talking to a lot of young women all women, it's a women's program, and she is talking to a lot of young women who are, in spite of everything, in spite of the lack of education, in spite of battles to get into university and battles to make it in spite of their education. They are making it. They are very, very, very upfront, and there are a lot of young women who are doing splendidly and absolutely wonderful.
How are they doing it? Is it a question of individual character, personal drive? What are they using?
I think they are using every resource they possibly can get. Some of them are young women who had no parents, who had no home influence at all, who have been brought up perhaps by siblings, who are trying. It must be personal. It must be empowerment coming from within themselves,
okay.
and faith in what this country stands for. And Nancy Richards at 1 o'clock has interviews with many of these young people. She said this morning, body, mind, and spirit is involved. It's not just not just an empowerment coming from nowhere. It's young people who know what's going on, who need re-education, who need a lot of help, but they are making it.
Okay.
They are doing it.
Thank you very much.
There's tremendous strength out there.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Anne and McGregor. Professor Sesh in Cape Town, good morning to you.
Hi there, Vuyo. We go back to the moral regeneration days. It's Sesh Parak here. Although I'm phoning from Parliament, I have no mandate to speak on behalf of Parliament.
Okay.
I'm speaking as a civilian.
Right.
Just a couple of things that I thought perhaps may be helpful comments for other civilians who battle with similar topics. Firstly, that education is far broader than the schooling system and the formal educational system. Secondly, that one needs to have perhaps had a very, very grassroots interaction or come from very disadvantaged communities to understand the traps and the fact that social mobility is extremely difficult to attain. And so South Africans want to help. That's one of the topics we need to look at. When I myself, many, many years ago, as a young psychologist, was involved with lots of work in NGOs, there is a concept called a leveling mechanism, which means that, for example, if let's say we're a very informal and there's one kid in our community who's really great at maths.
Okay.
The ideal, and actually it used to go on a long time ago, would be that we'd actually put our money together as a community and ensure that this kid hit his books and made sure he got to, whether it was medical school at the time or whatever it is.
Okay.
And that was what was important. So if perhaps South Africans, just as suggestions, 3 or 4 suggestions, if we could please remember how hard people fought for each of us to hold on to our critical thinking so that we don't just accept headlines and news reports, that we also grapple with the issue of ability to deal with differentness a little bit more.
Okay.
And if we start a little bit more social dialogue, and you'll do a lot on your TV show, you and Leanne on SAFM, there's some excellent, but I think if we keep that dialogue going, and if we speak candidly but respectfully, I have every hope that this will be exactly the right place that we wanted.
Fantastic.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Sash, speaking to us from Parliament in Cape Town. It's just about 9:30. Charles Mtata, just quickly acknowledging your call. What we'll do is take the news headlines with Vabakshni. We'll give you, Charles, an opportunity just to air your thoughts, and then after that we'll return to our guests and get their perspective on what's just been said. Jackie Carroll is with MediaWix. Mabureng Maharaswa is with the Department of Higher Education. Good morning to you. My name is Vuyo Mbuli here on SAFM 104 to 107. We're talking education, in particular matriculants. Matric this year. What prospects? As a parent, where are you sending your child in the year 2013? What kind of discussion have you had with him or her during the course of this year? 0891 104 207. Let's go to Mtata in the King Sabata Dalingebo municipality. Charles, good morning to you.
I welcome Will to the slot of replacing Siki. I hope you enjoy the slot.
Thank you.
Will, quick one. It was sometimes it was suggested that why don't we have the youth ultimately go to either army, navy, police, and get a 3-month basic or 6-month basics or a year? Because in that program, we can, since they are in a strict sort of system, they can be disciplined. We target multiple targets. The substream they would want to go to, be it artisan, be it engineering discipline, and then for the for stipends, give them a stipends, because at the moment I believe the youth needs direction. There's one avenue where they can immediately get after matric, you know you're going to go to be it wherever you choose. After matric, you suggest you want to be in the army, whatever.
Okay.
Then you get a stipend, so they're earning something. But the main thing is there is direction for the youth.
All right.
Okay,
thank you very much, Charles, calling us from the Eastern Cape. Now, just acknowledging Nigel Cameron Davies also tweeting two problems. One is career guidance, lacking to kids chasing financially rewarding careers instead of those that suit them holistically. That's another thought from Nigel Cameron Davies tweeting at Mbuli Vuyo this morning. Okay, let's return to our panelists. So, Maboreng, let's just reacting first to Anne McGregor. It's not just about education, it's also about other elements that make up the individual. What are your thoughts?
I think she's quite correct, and let me actually just comment on all the inputs that came through and indicate that there are invaluable comments which we appreciate and take note of. I believe that it's about character. I believe it's about determination. It's about also support. In terms of career guidance and social support in general. And so these are programs that we're trying to infuse, within the sector. Let me indicate, for instance, that we reached a lot of matriculants, through a career guidance program, which we are implementing through the South African Qualifications Authority this year. And so that's where we tried, to channel them properly in terms of the requisite skills, for economy. And so the colleague from TASA that talks about, installing discipline and the availability of stipends, as well as the issue from the TWIC that talks about career guidance and pursuing financially more rewarding careers is taken care of through that program. We also have the Ketanao program, and it's also part of the career guidance. So I agree with her that resources are not the only barrier, to the development of individuals, but there could be others.
Yeah. Jackie?
Yes. I acknowledge we're doing some work there, but as that caller, Mrs. McGregor, mentions that these girls have absolutely nothing and have still managed to rise above it, that raises a question on what is our return on investment.
Yeah.
Why have they got nothing? Mm-hmm. South Africa has one of the big budgets for education in the world, yet we deliver the worst results.
What is the problem? Why? And this is not a new thing. This is something that is said regularly about South Africa and education.
Well, I agree with Professor Janssen over here. There's nothing wrong with the country's children. There's something wrong with the system. I mean, if the government is entrusted to fundamentally alter the education of the poor, why, and they're trying with the amount of money being spent on it, why is it not happening? Why in countries where they have a tenth of the budget that we have, are they achieving better results?
So when you say the system, what exactly are you talking about?
I'm talking about the system.
Is it the teaching? We've had OBE, we've had all different systems.
We've had all different systems. Yeah. So I'm talking about a collective whole system. The third thing, this acceptance of mediocrity. This acceptance that if you come to work and you sit in your class and you don't particularly do anything constructive, you still get paid a salary. And I say that with respect to teachers, because not every teacher is like that, but you have to do just about the impossible to be fired. Why are we not paying maths and science teachers more money? In business, in corporations, if you have a rarer skill, you are rewarded for that.
Okay.
That would encourage people that can teach maths and science to continue. So we lose so much along the way because we are in denial and acceptance of mediocrity.
Maboreng?
I mentioned earlier, Vuyo.
Do we accept mediocrity? Do we just simply accept it and say, well, it's the way it is? Jackie asserts that you have to do absolutely the impossible, almost, to be fired.
We don't, Vuyo. We should also highlight the fact that it is not only about attitude of civil servants, if I must say that. It is also inherent, challenges that includes the level of qualifications and so on. And if I may give an example, in the FET, sector.
A level of qualification of the teachers themselves?
Of the teachers, I'm mentioning just one of the determinants. of the outcome.
Yeah.
That we have some lecturers that are not appropriately qualified. And by that I mean, I refer to two categories. There are those that have got professional qualifications who can teach engineering and so on, but they lack the pedagogy. And therefore, in terms of their transfer of skills, it becomes a little challenge. And then you have some that actually have the pedagogy, but would need some upskilling in terms of their professional qualifications. And we have put in place a lecturer development program as the department, but also we have partnered with the Joint Education Trust, to put in place an FET improvement program that focuses on the teaching and learning.
All right.
So the issue of poor attitude, as the colleague would like to put it, but there are other inherent determinants of the performance.
Okay, let me tell you what people are saying on Twitter. Kaya Jaja says, hi, the future of young people is very bleak. No matter how educated you are, you still struggle to get a job. That's one of the views on Twitter at Mbuli Vuyo. Komutso Machele has got a different view altogether, saying, I'm a marketing graduate from one of the colleges around here. I can proudly say employment opportunities, they are not as abounding as I'd like them to be. That's one of the views. If you'd like to send us a text message on these issues also, you're welcome to do just that. We'll give you a number just now. Thelma is in Cape Town. Thelma, let's hear from you. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Vuyo. Good to hear you on radio as well.
Thank you.
I just want to mention that, it's not always just matrics. What about those people who have lower education than matric? There are technical colleges where they can study in the construction, engineering. Most of our tradesmen who are middle-aged now only went to standard 9 or 10, standard 7 or 8, and after 3 years they are highly qualified artisans. There's the Athlone College for motor mechanics, there's Northlink College for electricians and the construction trades, and I think lots of these youngsters, especially in the townships, are not aware of it, or their parents may not be aware of it.
All right. Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. Viyalwa Klinga is with the Department of Education. Good morning to you.
Hi, good morning, Vuyo, and good morning to the panel, to Dr. Mabureng and Jackie. One of the things, Vuyo, that I wanted to mention, that as we are looking on this topic, is that we are at the time of the year where we also concerned about the possible walk-ins of some of the people that will pass matric this year into our institution. Now, because one of the unintended consequences of the minister's focus on increasing and broadening access into our institutions in the post-school system is that there is more of a response, and we expect that even this year, in 2013, there will be more people who will be wanting to get into our institutions. Unfortunately, our universities, as we all accept, will not be able to take everyone who qualifies to go into that system, which is why Dr. Maharaswa is focusing more on the FET colleges sector. Now, what the department has done is to have a call center that will be operational. There will be a media campaign, very broad media campaign, which goes with a call center that will go online from around the 28th of December, whereby any student who decides once they get their results that, I didn't get a place at whatever I'm looking for a place to start next year, or some of them, those that were rejected, or some of them will just make a decision at the time. There will be a call center that will only be operational during that time up to the end of January. And Vuyo, maybe you could take the number as well, which is 0860.
Okay, 0860.
111.
Okay.
673.
673.
And because we are talking to young people, we've also got an SMS line and please call me back line, whereby they will be wanting to know which institutions still have spaces, which courses are still accepting at this time, which is going to be in January after the test when the results have been advertised.
Okay.
And the SMS line is 0722.
Okay.
045.
Okay.
And 056, but they must please call these numbers only around the 28th of December going forward, because now they will not be able to get the head that they.
So the call center will have information about institutions that are still admitting and what courses still have places for admission for both FET colleges and universities. All right, we seem to have lost Vuyelwa Qhinga there. So those numbers, if you've already picked them up, they'll only be accessible after the 28th of December. Jackie, do you have a teenage child who is completing matric?
My child's not in matric, but he is in high school, yes.
Okay. What would you tell them now?
Oh,
what would you say to them? Where would you advise them to go?
Well, I've told my son Bradley that maths is not an option. We just have to work really hard at it, and maths has to be part of our qualification, because even if we do channel into an FET or into university, we're going to require it. That is certainly number one. The other thing I'm making really sure of is that before my son hits matric, he has an idea of where he needs to go. So that, I agree with this previous caller now. The issue of the children coming out of school not knowing where to go, that is really sad, because now, I mean, your standard, your grade 10, 11, and 12, your national senior certificate is actually one qualification.
Yeah.
So if you're only making up your mind at the end of that qualification, that's a bit dangerous.
Yeah. There's an SMS that I'm trying to find here. It says that something about FET colleges not producing graduates with the requisite quality. Mabureng, is this your view? Is this the kind of feedback that you are getting, particularly from people who offer jobs, that FETs do not produce the caliber of graduates they require?
It is not so. Of course, the performance can be better. But currently, as I said, there is an improvement, in terms of the quality. You will know, even in our vision for the department, we are not only focusing on a differentiated and fully inclusive system, that gives access, but we're also focusing on success.
Yeah.
But that success will be measured also on the quality of education that we offer.
Okay.
To our learners. Let me indicate to you that we offer occupationally directed programs, in the FET colleges, and they come in three components: one for the knowledge, the other one for the practical skills, and then for work experience. Now, basically, this work experience actually happens at the workplace itself, and that's where we test the quality of the young people that we are training.
Yeah.
And then the employers at that time, the industry, have an opportunity to actually, shape, the quality of the education and the ultimate product that will release into the labor market thereof.
Mabureng, have you got a teenage son?
Even in our vision for the department, we are not only focusing on a differentiated and fully inclusive system, that gives access, but we're also focusing on success.
Yeah.
But that success will be measured also on the quality of education that we offer.
Okay.
To our learners. Let me indicate to you that we offer occupationally directed programs, in the FET colleges, and they come in three components: one for the knowledge, the other one for the practical skills, and then for work experience. Now, basically, this work experience actually happens at the workplace itself, and that's where we test the quality of the young people that we are training.
Yeah.
And then the employers at that time, the industry, have an opportunity to actually, shape, the quality of the education and the ultimate product that will release into the labor market thereof.
Mabureng, have you got a teenage son?
Yes, of course.
Who's in grade 11, 12?
I've got one in matric.
In matric. Would you send them to an FET college?
Definitely, I would.
Yeah.
I would definitely, send them there. But I think the focus is not on one child, namely my own.
Yes. No. I'm just asking as a parent. Now we're talking about where to, what are the options. As a parent, you would send your child to an FET college. Jackie, Bradley, would you say to Bradley, go to an FET college?
Currently, no.
Why?
Because there is a 12% pass rate.
What do you mean? From FET colleges?
From the FET national average pass rate of 12%.
Yeah.
In first year. I mean, that's... I don't want to send my son where I know that the odds are stacked against him passing.
Yeah.
But having said that, if you look at the investment that is going into the FETs, I mean, of the budget, besides basic education always having the lion's share, because they have the numbers, the next biggest portion of our education budget is going to FETs. So I'm hoping to God that by the time Bradley gets to matric, that is a viable option. But if we don't do something now, it's too late.
What would you say to Jackie to encourage her to send Bradley to an FET college?
I would say she must take a second look, and let me correct it just in terms of the pathways. And I know that in the sector there are debates about definitions and notions. We actually moved in 2009 from an average success rate, of 9% to a 40.9% as we stand now. And this is owing to the interventions that I highlighted earlier. And we are striving for even higher success rate. But the pass rates themselves, is much higher. It's recording 80% and so on. And so I really, really think that young people will miss out, opportunities of a lifetime if they ignore the sector, because it is the one on which the country depends, for economic and other types of growth.
Let me tell you, Mabureng, about what other people are saying, and some are incorrectly calling you the Deputy Minister. It's the Deputy DG. Matric results have improved. This is one assertion attributed to you. To improve even further, why not drop the 30% mark to 20%? This is one view, that the current pass mark at Matric is probably the reason why the passing rate seems to have improved, when essentially the quality of it has not improved. That's one view. I'll get a chance to respond just now, Mabureng. Greetings, Vuyo. The Department of Education is in a mess. It will take more than a miracle to get things right. That's the view of Abdul. And then measures in place, books to schools in time for the coming year. I'm not sure if you are able to answer that one, Mabureng. Just that kind of sentiment, because I'm reading through some of the text messages and people are feeling quite strongly that the quality that is coming through is really not positive enough, and your positive tone, Mabureng, is not one that they agree with.
There has been research. I wish I had statistics with me that talks to the employability level, of FET graduates. And maybe you can invite us again to focus on that, because we have, an indication that the FET college graduates are becoming increasingly more employable. So anybody that talks about the poor quality would then have to, to give us indications of the basis on which they have come to that.
But here's Jackie. Jackie is not confident, just focusing again on the FET sector, and Jackie says she wouldn't encourage her young son to go to an FET. Jackie, what would need to change in the FET space for your perspective to be different?
Okay, first of all, the quality of our educators, as Dr. said, we do have, and acknowledges that we definitely do have a problem with regards to the other subject matter specialists and not necessarily educationalists. We need to try and find the balance there, firstly. The second thing is we really need to connect to what the economy needs. We are putting out these children with skills that don't make them employable. So we've really got to focus, and I know that there is definitely an emphasis on maths and science, but again, this is a question not aimed at higher education. My question is, why do we need a bridging program for maths and science in the first place? Because if we were doing our jobs correctly, there should be pure, simple articulation. And employers are reluctant to hire these people out the FETs, and I've seen it because we deal with adult learners. In fact, I can't tell you how many companies use a screening tool before they hire people to assess their level of competence in the fundamentals, which is communications and maths. So there's no belief in the...
Yeah, it's a confidence issue.
It's a confidence issue. And as soon as we can raise people's perception and confidence about that, an FET
But Mabureng has been talking about the interventions they're making, the seminars, the interaction with the Department of Basic Education, all of these things. Jackie, that doesn't improve your confidence.
Well, education, in my opinion, has enough policies.
Yeah.
We need workable plans. And some of these are good initiatives, but it's a drop in the ocean. I know it's a start, and for that I'm very grateful.
All right. Mabureng?
I think it's a brand issue. As we are in the listeners, we will know that across the world, the education has got a serious image issue. And this has got, to do more with the mindset than the actual, goings within the sector. Now, we have developed a turnaround strategy as the department, which will include, amongst other things, the formation of partnerships with the sectors and industry with a view to actually matching the skills. And I must also mention at this time the labor intelligence market a project that the minister has also launched that will actually now give an opportunity for both employers, in the public and the private sector, the actual skills needs that they have, that they need and that are required. What will happen is that it will have an effect on the choice of careers, because then we'll have, scientific information that talks to what careers are needed with what quantities and for how long.
Right.
Yes.
I think our matriculants need to be given proper guidance concerning FET colleges because they think it is low-class institutions. Tebza Mashiko tweeting at Mbuli Vuyo. Tamsanga Makade says, what about the qualified teachers who have no jobs? I'm one of them. I'm a young graduate with a BSc and a PGCE. I'm not sure what a PGCE is. I need a job though. Thank you very much for tweeting that, Tamsanga. We'll see how that is picked up on. Khomonzo Machele, quite vociferous this morning. Good morning to you. Welcome again. Both government and private sectors are doing a lot in terms of funding. Entrepreneurship is key in creating employment. I just want to return to what was originally the thrust of the conversation and just say, so Jackie, your message to young people and parents of young people today, what would you say to them? Where should young people be going? I know there's been register early and so on, but now you're sitting as a parent and maybe your kid has not registered at a university or applied, as it were. What would you tell them to do right now?
Well, my mantra has always been study hard so when you leave school you can make your own job. Don't study hard so you can find a job. That's honestly my first mantra, especially for our economy at the moment.
Yeah.
But you need to go and have an aptitude test. You need to see where you're suited, because our first year, whether it's at FETs or universities, our first year dropout rate is unacceptably high.
Okay.
So even if, they find themselves in a career that they really don't want to be, and that comes back to this is stuff that should be happening when they start their National Senior Certificate, which is in grade 10. We should be doing this there already.
All right. Maboreng, what would you tell them? Parents and young people at this time, what would you say they must do right now?
I would say to them, they must note that there are a lot of second chance opportunities, within the post-school sector. The immediate thing that they must do is to go to their nearest FET colleges, to have a cluster of sector education and training authorities, what we call the CETAs, who are now busy establishing offices within specific FET colleges. These are the ones that we say will offer opportunities in learnerships, in artisans, and so on. So let them go there, inquire about it, and if they can't, get sufficient help, let them call our call center, on the number that was given to.
Yeah. That will be towards the end of December. Jackie, employment prospects. Yes, we've talked a little bit about getting into an institution of higher learning, but employment prospects, are there any?
Oh, Vuya, it's tough. That in the needs, the not in education, employment or training, there's 3 million of these people, so they are competing against each other for very few jobs. So and I know that there are programs that the government invests and the CETAs invest in sorry, I've lost the word now. Something venture creation, micro venture creation. That kind of thing is good. And if we don't do something with these children, well, they're not children, they're young adults.
Yeah.
They become dissatisfied. And they become a social threat. And
that's why that earlier suggestion about perhaps also military training and those kinds of things might be a useful, perhaps, opportunity to inject or to develop discipline and perhaps skilling as well.
I listened to that caller. His name was Charles. And I listened with interest there. I just am concerned again that we are putting a Band-Aid over the problem. We're not addressing. Now we're asking the Defence Force to fix it.
Yeah.
Everybody is fixing or trying to put a band over the big sore. Where are the antibiotics to clean up that sore?
Maboreng, your thoughts?
All I can say is that we're looking forward to receiving our new entrants into the sector, and they must keep making an effort. The issue about other alternative ways of livelihoods, comes into play. As Jackie has indicated, we may not all look into employment, but we should also explore self-employment opportunities.
Yeah. The numbers are not...
also indicate that we also have, opportunities for internships within the public sector.
Okay,
and,
all right.
We advertise those, and we will be doing so earlier in the year as well. This is meant to also give them experience that will enable them, to become a board from which they can spring, into a more full-time employment.
Let's leave it at that. Thank you very much. Mabureng Maharaswa is Deputy Director General, the Department of Higher Education. Jackie Carroll is with MediaWorks. The numbers are not inspiring. Already 3 million people who are out there without jobs. I'm sure this is a conversation we'll take forward. We appreciate your thoughts. You're welcome to continue about this issue at Mbuli Vuyo. We take your text messages at 34701. It is 10 o'clock. Vabakshni has got the news.
SAFM, South Africa's news and information leader.
Top stories: hundreds of homes damaged in a KZN storm, and the 2 Australian DJs who pranked the royals are reportedly heartbroken. Good morning, I'm Vabakshni Chetty. More than 450 homes have been damaged during a hailstorm in Ladysmith in KwaZulu-Natal. Acting Ladysmith Municipal Manager Danny Mkhize says roofs and vehicles were damaged. Mkhize says emergency teams are in the area to assist the affected community.
It happened at about 7 o'clock yesterday. There was a big storm, and we had stones that were of the size of an apple, and it was ripping through the people's roof, really affected a lot of the people with tiles and asbestos. Organizing community now, we are being assisted by the NGOs and the